What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm not wearing shoes, and I don't often wear shoes on the show. But then I finally just realized that none of us are wearing shoes right now.
Yeah, we
and
moved
that's
to a
okay.
we Colin paid for the people to come by and clean the carpets not too long ago, and that's when we moved to being a shoes off household.
Mm-hmm. I respect that.
Yeah, but here's my thing: that rule does not apply on the shows. You always wear shoes on the shows.
Really? Are you?
Yeah.
You're not wearing shoes.
This is the first time ever
It feels
that I'm not
good,
wearing
though.
shoes, but I'm only not wearing shoes because they don't know that. Now they do. Fuck you guys.
But don't you feel liberated?
You'll
Tim?
cross your legs at some point in that shot, and people will know.
Don't you feel liberated by
usually
the fact
don't.
that you're not wearing shoes?
If you want to wear shoes for the show, then you need to buy a shoe tree we can hang on the back of the door, and then you
No,
can
but
just
see-
have shoes. You could have on-camera shoes.
Yeah, but the problem with that is like
This is the pure one, Tim Gettys.
It's just the putting on the shoes process. Man, Greg, if you know, I'm not a fan of first world problems.
Yeah.
That's a first world problem that I'm definitely not a big
Not
fan
a problem. It's
Well,
not
that's
really
why
a
you
problem.
got
It is a
to like
problem.
the Converse I wear when I walk Portillo, like are the slip-on, slip-off ones.
Yeah.
They're like revolutionary.
Yeah, but the point of me wearing my shoes on camera is I want to impress all the kids out there.
No kids ever watch this and are impressed by your shoes. Your hair,
Bullshit.
yes. Your
Bullshit.
shirts, yes.
Bullshit.
Your socks, yes.
No,
Your
they like
shoes.
them. When I wear my ones, they leave all the nice comments. They're like, I like those ones. I'm like, thanks.
What
Thanks for
video has that
noticing.
happened in?
A whole bunch of
Give
them.
me one. Name one.
The episode 86, part 3.
That's not true. Mm-hmm. It is not
It
true.
is.
It's not true. There's no way you did that.
Are we even on 86?
No, we're not.
yet?
We're close to 86.
The Game Over Greg
Yeah.
show.
Oops. Episode 86.
We're not even close to it.
Nobody has any idea how long this show's
like
been
to say
going.
bold.
It feels like it's been going on for 10 years.
Really? I know, right? Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Good to be here with you today. Kevin, I need you to do me a favor.
Here we go.
Can you go to my bedroom and in front of the candle in front of my TV is a bottle of glasses cleaner. I need that.
Are your glasses
Here we
dirty
go
again?
again with the
Thank
glasses.
you.
Why are they so dirty all the time?
Why is
I
that
don't think they
candle?
really are. They kind of are.
Maybe do you think that maybe your eyesight's getting a slightly worse and you're just starting to you have cataracts or you're starting to
Don't
see
say that. That's not cool.
You're starting to
I'm
see
I'm so afraid of
Too
having
far,
I'm so
dude.
afraid of having
Your
eye problems.
eyes are getting better, the doctor said.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so
I could possibly go to the eye doctor. I really am afraid of having
every
eye
week.
problems.
You just have the eye doctor.
I
He's
go
"Colin,
every
stop
year.
coming back here."
No one goes to the eye doctor every year. It seems like that's not a thing that a lot of people do unless they want to get new glasses or whatever. I go every year and I just have them fucking check me out just to make sure.
Check me out, bro. Let me see that little
These
house.
peepers, the
Let me
peepers
put
are
my
key.
eyes on that machine thing. Let me look at that little
Give me
farm.
that puff of air in the eye.
Oh my god, they don't do
fucking
that. They
hate
don't do that
thing.
anymore.
Oh, really?
No,
They
haven't
blew
done-
out too many eyes,
They haven't
finally.
done that in years.
Yeah.
People's eyes were getting blown inside out.
I used to
That's what
scare
happened.
the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I hated that.
What is the puff of air in the eyes?
You never had this?
No, I don't wear glasses.
But you don't get your eyes checked either?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, they do this thing where they sterilize the little deal. You put your face to it, and then there's a little thing that just goes, and puffs air in your eye.
It's horrifying.
It tests
Yeah,
for
it's really
gore.
scary. The only
They
thing
stopped
more
doing it.
scary is how judged I feel when it's the little thing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna give you this little button, and you have to hit the button
Every
whenever
time
you
you-
see something
yeah.
move. I'm like, did I see something move? Was that it?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
real?
It's always like a
Holy
blurry
shit.
thing in the corner.
Yeah, and it's like they don't tell you your score either.
Yeah,
they're,
no,
they're
no.
always just like,
They don't know.
All right, cool. And I'm like,
You should just screw with them and never
Yeah.
hit the button. Just don't hit it.
They're like, are you blind,
you're
sir?
blind.
I do.
No, but now they do a thing where you put your eye, instead of blowing the air in the eye, they do other tests, and they have that new machine now that looks deep into your eye,
Ooh,
where you have
I
to
like that.
press your eye, press into a machine, and then it turns a certain color, and they take a picture of it, and you can see a picture, a super high-res picture of your eye. It's fucking cool. And then
All
they
this
look at it, and
sounds
they can find all
terrible.
things. You should go to the eye doctor. It's important because a lot of not all eye ailments, but some eye ailments can be identified very early, and they can
Yeah.
they can help you figure that stuff out because losing your vision is very serious. I'm very afraid of that kind of thing. My girlfriend's mom is blind, and so I've been around that a little bit and known how much trouble she has just getting around. She has a dog that helps her and stuff like that. And it's you just want to take care of that stuff because it's pretty serious. So I'm always your health is always serious, but the eye doctor is an easy thing that I can tackle.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
go. They're like, here's your thing. Your eyes look good. We don't have this, that, the other thing.
Well,
the fuck
also
out.
I feel like, and this might be overgeneralizing, but I feel like it's your likelihood of the doctor telling you that you have some sort of disease that's going to kill you at the eye doctor is not as large as it is at your general practitioner, right?
Yeah, but
Like,
they
you go there and
make
they're
it
just
seem like there's a lot that can go wrong.
with
There
the
is-
eye doctor.
there is
Yeah,
a lot
no,
there.
they-
Just
you
use
go
your
in
eye
there
Even
and
talking
cavity.
about your eyes like this, I don't like. Grosses me out.
Why is it grosses you out? Or
I just
scares
I don't
you?
like things happening around my eye. No, I feel like things getting around my
When
eye
you
right
see
now.
the movies where the thing goes into the eye, does that bug you?
Oh, there was a
Oh,
part in
I
Dead
don't like
Space
that.
2 where you had spoilers for the end of Dead Space 2. You should play it by now. Where you
think
stab
that's
yourself in the eye, and that was fucking destructive. That was bad.
The thing about the eye is that I'm not so worried about like the life-threatening illness. I don't want to put it so curtly, but like it basically anything that bad happens to your eyes is a life-threatening illness because it's a quality of life issue.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like you take for granted that you can just see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like without it, you're very debilitated.
I'll save it because I'm sure one day Jamie Kennedy will be on the show to tell you her stories about Greg Miller and everything else. But the thing that amazes me about the eye is that its ability to bounce back from an injury. Because my mom fucked herself up real bad once in the eye, shattered a contact, drove the glass into her eye and stuff.
Jesus.
Wait,
And, like,
sorry, what? There's glass contacts?
Whatever, hard plastic, not like your disposable whatever. I never wear contacts. There's hard contacts for
Really?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even now, thinking about it, I'm getting all.
I don't like that.
I know it was
No.
bad.
You can see as she did.
Yeah, it's bad.
But she was blind for a while in that eye.
Well, look,
There was a lot of work and
I
rehab
think-
and stuff for.
Doesn't the eye tissue, isn't that the fastest regenerating tissue in the body?
I don't know anything about
Like
that.
the eye and the tongue.
The tongue's
tongue's
essential.
a good regenerator.
I don't
All
know.
I can
I know
say
the
about the
tongue for
eye
sure.
is that biologically and evolutionarily, we probably have come to learn like your vision's really important and put all of the biological resources you can into making sure you're good. You know, there. So maybe that has something to do with the quick regeneration of some of these things. It's scary though.
They used to call Wolverine the eye hero because he regenerated so fast.
His eyes,
What's
yeah.
your power? You have eye tissue all over your body. You look like a slimy egg.
God damn it.
Oh, if you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Toss us a few bucks and you get the episodes early each and every Friday. If you don't have any bucks to toss us, it's no big deal. Wait. And then Monday through Thursday, the show goes up topic by topic, day by day on youtube.com/kindafunny until we post the entire show the next Friday on iTunes, SoundCloud, all these other services, wherever the hell stupid ass Kevin with his Google Watch gets podcasts. I don't know. I imagine they just come off Amazon to him.
Stupid ass Kevin with his Google Watch.
Hey, Google.
Hey Google, send Paula a text message. We're breaking up. I'm with another woman. Send.
Colin,
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
what's your topic?
This one's easy. I want you guys to fill in I want you to fill in the blank and then tell me a little bit about it. All right. It's gonna be a really easy one.
Sure.
The statement is, how can you not like? And so I'm gonna give you my example.
Oh, okay. How could you not like blank?
Yeah.
Got
It
it.
can be anything. It can be literally anything. How can you not like Seinfeld? That's my example. You know?
Yeah.
This is a Seinfeld house. We have it on all the time. It's many episodes a day. And when I watch it and I sit down and I've seen all of these episodes. Literally dozens or scores of times. Literally all of them. And you know them by heart. And you know what's going to happen in them. And you anticipate the jokes, and yet it's still as funny as the first time you saw it. And I don't feel like a lot of shows are like that. So, because at night I watch a lot of Golden Girls, and I think that that's a great show. But even when I see episodes again, I'm like, all right, the humor's lost a little bit if you know the punchline. I've been
We're talking
watching.
about Dukakis and all this other stuff.
Yeah, well, that's always they're making like really obscure political jokes from 1988. I've been watching a lot of on Hallmark Channel because I'm 90. I've been watching a lot of like Frasier, and then I go Nick at Night. I watch a little bit of Friends and stuff like that, and I'm like, these shows are funny. They're really
Skype
funny.
me in because I feel like we have the exact same nights.
Yeah. Because they have
100%.
it's like 6 episodes of Golden Girls,
And
whatever,
then
and
Frasier.
then like a bunch of Frasier all night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these shows are really funny, and I have I've discussed recently that I have a new appreciation for Frasier. I always thought the show was funny, but now watching it in order, as I have been lately, it's really a really good show. But Seinfeld is just so special, and so when I find someone that doesn't like Seinfeld, like my girlfriend, for instance.
What are her reasons? And you've never even watched. You don't watch Seinfeld, right?
She
I got a
just
bone to pick
doesn't
with you.
find it funny. Like, and what's weird is she loves Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I'm like, that's so weird because that's really a show
weird.
about George. In essence, that is a show about George
Yeah.
Costanza, and which makes it. I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is funnier than Seinfeld. I don't think it's as clever as Seinfeld, especially because a lot of the plots are just reused on Curb Your Enthusiasm. They just literally have the same plots sometimes. Shows just have the same fucking plot. I'm like, all right, I'll see it again. So I wanted to know what your guys' kind of take on that statement was. How can you not like?
Well, I want to know how he cannot like Seinfeld.
Well, here's my. It's not that I don't like it. It's that when I was young, I didn't like it because I was young, and I remember it being on TV and I was bored by it. I was like, there wasn't punchlines and jokes and any like CG animals talking, so I wasn't really into it.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah. Nowadays, I still have the CG animal issue, but besides that, I mean, everything I hear about it, I'm like, I'm sold. And from the little bits I see, I get it. I understand it now. I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd totally love it. Like, it sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
For like the type of humor I have grown into liking. But when I was like,
You need to go watch Seinfeld.
when I was like 7 watching it, I was like, hell no.
It would be so exciting to be in your position in a way because you've never seen them, and that's something that I can never take. There's not a fucking frame of Seinfeld I haven't seen.
This is a topic we talked about, right? Of like what we wish we could re-experience. Yeah, re-experiencing Seinfeld would be awesome. Now, I wonder how much of it would be lost not having the water cooler moments, right? Because when it was must-see TV on Thursdays, coming into high school the next day to talk about, you know what I mean? Honestly,
man.
junior high and shit, because it was like that. That was the age range for me where it was going on. Like that was a big part, right? Of like, oh, I can't believe Kramer did this. And I remember getting psyched up for the finale, like the finale.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I wonder how much of it won't hold up though. To be perfectly
Nothing.
honest,
It all holds up.
like yes.
The only
but
thing
it
that's
was-
weird is he has a phone on a cord and like a really ugly desktop that he never uses.
Don't get me wrong, I love Seinfeld, but when I watch Seinfeld, I bring with it that nostalgia of having seen it in the '90s, right? I remember that time. It's very much a show that's a sign of the times, right? Similar to. Not as wildly intense as Friends, right? Where Friends, as you go back and watch Friends, you're like, holy crap, that was like mid '90s. That
The hair,
did not
the
last.
style,
Like
the
you
look,
can't.
the colors.
There are very few people I think that could go back and watch Friends and be like, this is every bit as good as I remember it being. Like you look back and you're like, it's a little cheesy, it's a little rough around the edges.
Sure.
And back then when we watched it, we were like, I think we were all a little bit more caught up in the zeitgeist of it than we are now.
And it was very Generation X.
Yes.
You know, so not that you're Generation X, but we're not. So it was cool to watch that as if you're watching a show about your older brother or something.
But like my question is, going back and watching Friends, Seinfeld, it would be fascinating for Tim to watch that because he didn't vibe with it at the time. So I wonder now that you're a bit older, if that is the connection for you. If you watch it and go, oh, I get it. Like you have all those other life experiences that you bring to it, and then the humor of a show about nothing is that much funnier to you because you're like, this is actually mirroring real life. That was kind of the genius of the show, is that it was a show about nothing, but so is most of our daily lives.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't remember, probably on this show, like 20, 30 million episodes ago. But Seinfeld kind of reminds me, from everything I hear about it, of the older version of what BuzzFeed now is, which is just like, you relate to this.
Yeah,
you know?
that
I
makes
know
sense.
people in the comments are going to be like, oh, no, you can't say BuzzFeed and Seinfeld are the same thing. I'm not
I understand
saying
the
that.
point you're saying.
What I'm saying is, it's like, nowadays, it's like you see the BuzzFeed list of like 23 things you know you did in elementary school, and you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, I did always draw one of those stupid little S's, and I did, draw on my eraser, which made no sense because then there's lead on my eraser, and that's stupid. But it's like we all did these things, and I feel like Seinfeld is that. Just, they'd come up with a plot point to kind of get across just the moments that you relate to. Like
can see that, yeah.
finding a parking
That makes sense.
spot
No, that
or
totally makes
all
sense.
that type of stuff. It's
Getting
just like,
stuck on the subway and stuff
yeah,
like that.
it's like,
Public transit
here's one
woes,
moment
movie
that
stuff.
everyone relates to. Like, you felt this.
Yeah.
Let's make a plot around that moment.
Yeah.
I would actually go as far as to say Seinfeld was a little even like simpler than that, right? But that's very true, right? It gets you in touch with those moments where those incredibly human moments of like, I remember the episode with the two cars that are parked. Like, and living in San Francisco now, I get it. Like, I would
can't go in
literally
head
not,
first.
like, when I lived in Nob Hill, I would have not moved. I would have been like, nope, I'm blocking traffic. I had this first. Like, I was backing in. That's the right way to do it. It's true. It's interesting. I think you would like it. I think if you gave it like 3 or 4
I know I would
episodes,
like it.
you got to get past the pilot. The pilot is
I would
not
say,
good.
you could even skip season 1
Yeah.
to really get it rolling for Tim.
Yeah,
Because I need to jumpstart Tim. I need to get in there with the paddles and the bam.
Yeah, the show gets crazier as it goes along until it's just totally unhinged, and that's really when it. We were talking about that on Colin and Greg today about the last seasons. Larry David wasn't really involved in those, and so it's weird to like say that these are the best seasons, yet they're the ones that are just totally fucking unhinged. Like it's just because it really
Is
did
that
go.
a good thing?
It's like a cartoon. Yeah, it's like a
I
living
think it was
cartoon.
because by the end, it's like the show is just out of control. And
Which season was the episode, if you remember offhand, where they had to he carries the air conditioning unit like through the garage
that's
the
an
entire
early-
time.
that's an
early- yeah,
So,
that's
like,
early.
that
and that's what I was
genius.
saying. Like that was the
have a-
genius of the show early on was like you can't find your car in the
They have
your
a whole
parking spot.
episode, Tim, of not being able to find their car in a garage. The whole thing's in the garage. That's it.
See, I love
they
that.
They can't find their car.
That sounds
and
awesome.
the entire time, Kramer bought an air conditioning unit that he has to carry around.
That
And they
reminds me of Kevin.
When they interviewed that
We've been
character,
there.
when they interviewed what's his name,
Michael Richards.
he actually had them put weight in the box because he's like, I wanted there to be weight in the box, and he's like, boy, that was a shitty decision on his part. It's like 10 hours later of shooting and him carrying that thing, it's like my arms were dead. So when he crams it into the car at the
he
end, it
falls in.
actually falls in. He couldn't carry it anymore.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, it's you. I wanted to start with that particular question and that particular comment because you don't often find Seinfeld is largely considered the best television show of all time, and there's very few people that are going to ever dispute that, and I don't think it's ever going to be beaten. Now, like the because it is about the zeitgeist, but it's also about how just consistently good it was and how clever it was, and I think also how deep it was, because it is a show about nothing. That was its whole thing. It's a show about nothing, but it's, I think, also a show about selfish bad people, and I think that is what's so funny about it, is that when you just step back and stop laughing, you're like, these are awful people. They're all fucking awful.
I don't think they're awful. I just think they're real people. Like, they're farcical caricatures of real people. But when you look at how they act, they make decisions similar to how most people I know make decisions in real life, right? Where they're just kind of very selfish. They're very, very selfish. Their lives are, their entire worlds revolve just around them. Jerry Seinfeld is, he literally breaks up with women for no reason every episode. And that's, it's very similar to like how you were, especially in your early 20s. I think they're supposed to be like in their late 20s or early 30s during the show. But like when you would just be with someone, but they'd say one thing, you're like, I don't like you anymore. And it's like kind of like what Hot American Son was like, you smell like ham. I don't like you anymore. Or you smell like hamburger. Burgers. I don't like you anymore.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it's just a deeper show. I think that's why people love it, and it's always going to transcend, and I think always be big. But
see, that was my issue with Curb, though. I didn't think it had the cleverness of Seinfeld. Curb had it could go there because they could say swear words. It was on HBO, but I feel like because of that, they oftentimes went for shock value, and it was a show about George Costanza, in that Costanza was the character that was constantly getting shit on. He's like every indie Ben Stiller movie where the character just cannot do anything right. And I hated that, and it needed to be balanced out with the Seinfeld character that kind of had it easier because he was good looking and successful.
There's a whole episode about that, about how everything goes his way.
Yeah,
there's a whole episode.
The opposite.
Elaine, is cute and can date whoever she wants, and like doesn't really care about anything. And the Kramer's just out of his mind and somehow rich. I never figured out how he could just never have to work.
They insinuate that he's like independently wealthy, but you don't really know like what it is.
So the show is a lot more well balanced, where you get to Curb, and Curb is just really negative. Actually, when you watch it, that was just a dark show, and I couldn't really get into it.
It is a dark show. The thing I like about Curb, the thing that and Cheryl's one to point this out, why she likes it, even though and this is something that Seinfeld did really well. It's the Seinfeld formula is the loop. Like, they introduce things that all tie together at the end.
Yeah,
and they're just these disparate parts that have nothing to do with each other, that just all intimately tie in. And Curb Your Enthusiasm does it better than Seinfeld, I think, in the sense it's like, that's like how like all of these 5 different subplots in a 24-minute show could just collide together. Is so brilliant. I think that's why the show's clever. But I think Curb is probably rawer and funnier, but I think Seinfeld's more clever.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's my answer to that question. That's my answer to that question. How can you not like Seinfeld? Although you don't meet people that like that very often, because there's not that many crazy people out there. What would your answer to the question, Nick? How can you not like?
I would say, how can you not like Harry Potter? Now, here's the deal. I mean, the books. Now, people can watch the movies, and you can disagree with the movies. The movies have different styles. They have different directors. So depending on who you like, if you like more of the traditional like approach to the series, you like the Chris Columbus, the first 2 films. The third film was directed by a Spanish director. So that was, I forget his name. Look that up for me where you can.
Benicio del Toro.
Don't shake your... Kevin's like, no, I'm not going to do it. What I'm going to do is play with this fucking pen instead of looking this up for
Hey,
Nick.
Who directed Harry Potter 3?
Alfonso
Prisoners
Cuarón.
of Azkaban.
Sorry, Alfonso Cuarón is his name. Put the phone down.
Marzipan, I believe.
You're fired, Kevin. So I can appreciate how you come to the movies, and they're very stylistically different, and they also kind of took place over, obviously, I think it was like a 10-year gap.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long it took to get all those movies out. And they also did the thing with 7 that I actually hated at first and then appreciated, where they broke it into 2 parts, but I think it ended up actually working very well for that series. Whereas, like, you get the Desolation of Smaug and things like that with Lord of the Rings, you're like, this needs to be like an hour and a half long movie. Let's cut this down. We don't need all this exposition.
Smaug.
But when I first came to the series, when I was in my, I think, early 20s, I'd watched one of the movies and I was like, this is pretty fascinating. Then I saw the second movie. I was like, damn it, I'm hooked. And I went back and started reading the books, and that's where the true sort of love affair with Harry Potter started, where you read those books and the first couple they're good. Then you hit Prisoner of Azkaban, and I challenge you to get through that book and not immediately want to read the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th books. Like, she just makes this amazing world that you want to exist in, no matter what age you are. And I think it's one of those series that hits on all those marks where what are you laughing at, Tim?
There's just a lot going on.
Kevin,
Keep
what
going.
are you doing?
No, he's not doing anything.
All right.
Disruptive.
He's not doing anything. He's not
disruptive.
disruptive. I
Then
was
why did
being
you make eye
disruptive.
contact with him and then
Kevin,
start laughing?
He's
not
because-
doing anything.
I'm having a conversation in my head that I think he's also having in his head about my brother falling in love with Harry Potter. But
I'm telling you.
going.
Okay. So what I think obviously what people strive for when they tell stories is to kind of hit as many ages as humanly possible, right? And we loved that. That was kind of the allure of the early Simpsons. That was the allure of a lot of Pixar films, is that you watch these, and no matter what age you're at, you can find something to identify with in them. And for me, Harry Potter really hit that, where I was in my early 20s. I was no longer a teen. I had just graduated college. I was lost in the world and kind of trying to figure out what was next for me. And then you get this series, and this kid that's going through a very similar thing, but he's obviously much younger. I think he starts when he's 11. But there are a lot of adult themes in it, and it's really treated like a book that is like, you look at it as a kid's book and a series of kids' book, but it's not. It's actually very, 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 very for adults as well. So when people say I don't like Harry Potter, I always challenge it. I'm like, have you read the books? And oftentimes what I hear is no, I haven't read the books. And I'm like, well, give the books a shake, and then if you don't like it, I can understand that. But I guarantee by the time you get through the third book, you're going to be like, damn it, this is a really, really good series.
A lot of time to invest, though.
Not really. They go fast.
Yeah.
You can read a book probably every 3 days or 4 days. I read the 7th book in 2 days, maybe. And you know how slowly I read. But I mean,
Well,
I put like 9 hours.
Just
a
that
day into it.
vampire book, it took you forever to read.
Here's the deal with those Anne Rice books, man. It was a good book, but it could have, and maybe this is my patience level now because I just have the attention span of a gnat. But there's just so much exposition in it, and there are parts, and it sucks when I'm reading these stories and I'm like, this chapter does not need to be here. And I get it. This is her style, and this is what people love her for, and specifically in the 80s and early 90s when her writing was really, really, really like coming to a head, and they were making movies out of it. And everyone remember the Vampire Chronicles. Everyone's like, oh my god, Interview with the Vampire, and like you got Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in the movie in the height of their like young, hot careers.
Fucking sexy ass.
You know what I'm talking about? Beautiful white skin, this pale, pale vampire skin.
I had two dreams last night. One was about Jurassic Park, and the other was about Brad Pitt.
No
So there
shit.
you go.
Was Brad Pitt in Jurassic Park?
No.
I'd watch that
Two
movie.
different dreams.
Return to Jurassic Park with Brad Pitt. Hey, Brad
That's
Pitt.
the title?
Let's go back to Jurassic Park. Yeah, with Brad Pitt. That's just his name. His character's name is Brad Pitt. No relation to the actor. He plays an archaeologist. But yeah, that's mine. The other thing I would say is every once in a blue moon, I don't even engage with these people. Every once in a blue moon, someone will say the words, "I don't like Star Wars," and that makes me want to take whatever table I'm near and just flip it over.
That doesn't
and
make
run
sense,
through
man.
a wall.
Fuck those people.
And there are people you've met them too. People that are like, I've never seen Star Wars.
Well, there's a difference between never seen and don't like. If you've never seen it,
Well, okay,
we can fix
So
that.
I've never met the I lied. I've never met the I don't like Star Wars. I've met the meh people. Really?
Yeah, you know that.
yeah, but
You're not, though.
You're not as meh as
You'll still see
You
the
lead
movies.
Oh yeah, I'll see the movies.
yeah. No, there's a couple people out there, and I don't like them one bit.
Yeah.
They really suck.
Well, Greg, what about you? What was your?
What's the exact phrase? I can't believe you don't like. I can't believe you don't like video games. And I know and don't get me wrong. I understand the idea of, well, I don't like Call of Duty because I don't like first-person shooters. I don't like platformer. I understand not liking that, but the fact of like there's people who are so closed off to it to say that I just don't like that entire entertainment medium is bewildering to me. Because it'd be like saying you don't like movies when really you just don't like detective dramas, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
that's a
No,
genre
that
that's
makes
still
sense,
booming,
though.
right?
That is
now.
a genre.
You
There
guys
actually
make-
is,
he laughed
actually.
at me. I wasn't sure if
That's
I
just
screwed
funny
that
that
up.
that's where you go when you go with movies. Just detective
Reaching the
dramas.
black. Well, I'm thinking of one I want to give two shits about.
Gotcha,
Oh, there's new
gotcha.
Sherlock Holmes coming out. Fuck you, Robert Downey Jr. and Andrew
I like
Goldfarb.
those
I'll
movies.
never see that shit.
Andrew Goldfarb. What's he have to do with it?
He's in it.
Shut up. Really?
That's one of the movies he's an extra.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah,
He's the guy that solves all the crimes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's him. That's weird. He didn't get billing on it. But,
you got me on that one, Scarpino. Good job.
well, but the problem with video games is it's still, again, we've talked about this, is it's still a relatively new medium. So,
Right. No,
so,
but that's the whole thing is like, and that's the thing with it, that there's people who are just so closed off to it and have such a small vision of what games are that they don't understand there's so much on the peripherals.
And it's
that
not
are,
new anymore.
It's like 40 years old now. I mean, that's the crazy
Yeah,
thing is
but
that games
it's-
are like. I agree
it
with
hasn't
you.
been widely
hasn't proliferated.
Thank you. Until
Proliferated.
Until I was born.
really, like, no, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, we're talking like 15, 20 years. So that's still only a generation or two of people that have come up with video games. And I mean, I skate that line where I grew up with video games, but still I see both sides of it where I'm like, there's just other stuff I want to interact with. It's just not your go-to thing, and
Sure,
so
but
you're
that's
just not thinking about
I understand, and don't get me wrong. And that's where all this comes down to with anything we're saying. I think everything we're saying, you have to give it a chance, right? And you'd like it probably. And that's the thing here, just the fact of like, if you don't like one type of game, there's another type of game. You know what I mean? Like, look at Danganronpa. Like, that's a game that is a visual novel for all intents and purposes, right? And it's a murder mystery kind of thing. Like, that's the game. That's not Call of Duty. That doesn't take Twitch controls and this, that, and the other. There's something in. I think, like I was talking about that analogy of the silly putty. Like, there's something in gaming for everybody.
Yeah,
and that's the whole thing of like, I can't imagine when like
The silly putty?
Gia doesn't.
Explain the silly putty?
This is a tired Greg Miller trope, so sorry. But I was talking about that when games started, like Mario and NES, and like when games in quotes started, like when they started getting popular, people had think of silly putty. There's this like defined definition. This is what it is. But then people started to grab it and pull it in different directions to where now it's stretched out to every corner of the universe, and there's a game for every mood you're in, and there's games that are strictly just on platforming and trying to get as many coins as possible, and then there are narrative experiences and dramas that redefine your life and your outlook on people and genders. That's where we are now, and that's where it's hard to explain that to people who still think of it as just Mario, and so I don't like that. Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you used to use silly putty, did you ever roll it on top of newspaper and then look at it?
Yes, because here's what you do with silly putty. You do that. The image is reversed. Cool. You shove it in little cracks and you pull it back so it says whatever you were intending. And then you go, what the fuck do I do with this?
Yeah, you try to eat it.
You get some cat hair in it and you're like, ugh. And then you just throw it away.
Is that slime? Remember slime?
Yeah,
Gack?
of course.
Gack and slime.
Hell,
Yeah,
what's the point of that shit?
that was an interesting time. I want to say this about both of you things. First of all, Harry Potter, I agree. I think Harry Potter is great. I only read the first 3 books. And I stopped seeing the movies at that point because I was just like, well, I don't want to see the movies without that.
You're
so
like,
Azkaban was where I stopped.
you close issue. You close book 3 and you're like, this is where I want to leave the
No,
story.
it's just that there was no more books at that time, and I just
never went back
fell
to it?
off. I don't know.
If there had been a 4th book, do you think you would have just continued reading?
Yeah, definitely. I really like those books. And for video games, I agree with you. I mean, right now, games are 40 years old, give or take. Yeah, about 40 years old. And I mean, they're older than that if you count like the programs and stuff. But you know, like
Nobody
commercial
counts
games like Coleco and
the
stuff.
70s.
And like 74, 75. Pong and all that kind of stuff. And you know, Citizen Kane came out 41, so we're like we're in the same sort of period. Like films are basically at 40 years old was like Citizen Kane and like all the kind of the World War II movies, really that kind of that era, right? The 40s. So games are still relatively young.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you went back, and I'm sure if you did go back to the 30s and 40s and you're like, do you like movies? I'm sure some people have been like, no.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I still think that there's a point that Nick's making that I think is valid, which is that there's still, it doesn't seem young, 4 years old doesn't seem young, but it is. It's when there's no one left on this earth that didn't play a video game or didn't grow up around video games. That's when it stops. And that happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Really, the baby boomers were the ones that came up and were surrounded by movies and surrounded by TV and entertainment music, and they're the ones that brought it to their kids and so on and so forth. So I do think it's our kids, you know, our generation's kids that are going to be the ones that play games and
Don't think about it and aren't gamers because you're not a moviegoer and you're not these different things.
That said,
and you have the parents making it okay for that, right? It's okay. It's not only you're not saying it's okay for your kids to play games. You're just introducing it like it was TV in my household.
Yeah.
Whereas like it was a foregone conclusion. I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna watch TV. That's what's gonna happen because that's accepted.
Eat a Hostess pie.
I would say a better analogy for that would be than reading, right? Like people don't read anymore.
no, I
And
agree.
when you have people that are like, I don't like to read, it's like, well, okay, let's get into that a little bit because a lot of people don't read books anymore.
Yeah, it was
They
just fucking
don't.
horrifying to me because I don't know how you can not read a book, but because I love reading.
Yeah.
Books mess everything up sometimes, though. They add too much, like, you know, development and characterization. Like, I remember I read the novelization of Space Jam, and they just totally got Charles Barkley's character wrong.
But there's something about that. There's something about games and books that are, and I've always said this, that are congruent with each other and that they take effort. No one is going to say no generally to TV or movies or listening to music because you don't have to fucking do anything. You know what I mean? Playing games is effort, and reading books is definitely effort. I think the payoff is way bigger with books than anything if you dedicate your time with it. And I actually think that their payoff's way bigger with games because you have some agency over what's going on. But which I think is really important and what's unique about video games. But I think we'll get to the point where things are more readily accepted. The ironic thing about reading today is that we are better read and read more than ever today, yet you find a lot of people that don't read, which is so funny to me. You can't, that's what I said before on the show, which I think is so fascinating, a lot of people don't think about, is you can't exist in this world without reading. You know, like if we've talked about this before, you can get by after World War II being illiterate. It would be difficult, you could do it. You can't be illiterate today and have like any success. You can't because of this.
Yeah. But
You know?
I mean, but
So,
on that
like-
note, though, do we wonder though? I mean, is there? You're talking about the bigger payoff, and that is a very interesting thing, right? When you finish a 500-page novel, you have a sense. You have a sense of completion, right? But in this day and age, I feel like most people are read just in headlines. They're just constantly reading headlines, and that's it, and that's as deep as they're willing to go or interact with things. And is that dangerous, or is that just driving us
I
forward
think
at a
that's
ridiculous
unfair
pace?
to say. I mean, people do that, but then they also read a bunch of other stuff too.
Like articles and reviews and things, sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, what is the longest you've read a single piece of media in the last 10 years? Like, how long has that taken you to read?
How long?
Yeah. Like, what is the longest piece of whatever that you've read online? Whether it's an op-ed, a feature, a preview, a review.
I don't know. I mean, not a novel's worth.
Well, that's
but-
what I'm saying. And so that is where, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's the difference between the societies, right? Whereas, in the 80s and 90s, that just didn't occur. You would read the entire magazine, or you would read a book. Those are your really two. That was it, right? Am I missing another one? Maybe the phone book. You would occasionally
for
just
magazines,
look.
Reader's
worth.
Digest,
The Reader's
somewhere
Digest,
between
yeah.
a book and a
But
magazine.
but the point you make the good point in that, because we come from a games media background where when I would get an issue of Nintendo Power in 1992, I'd read the whole fucking thing. There wasn't a
Right.
single word in that magazine I didn't read.
We didn't have any
Five
other
times.
choice.
Exactly.
What the hell
'cause-
else were you gonna do?
That's exactly right. I'm like, well, I don't know when I'm gonna get another fucking Nintendo Power. I have to wait a whole
Right.
month until it comes in the mail. You don't know when the fuck it's gonna come.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just surprises you. It comes a little early. It comes a little late. But now we're very selective about what we read. And I just think there's a lot of irony, because I think we are more intelligent and better read than ever in terms of the vastness of the things we read. Yet we don't dive into anything. And so I think that's a good point to you. Is to read a book like Atlas Shrugged, which is one of my favorite books, an Ayn Rand book. That's a really fucking long book. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something you can just.
That's a 5-year commitment for me.
Yeah, it's so, and the text is small. I mean, it could be even bigger than it looks. And there's parts of it that can be cut out and culled or whatever. But I just feel like I do get sad about the lack of reading culture, and by that I just mean books. Because I do think reading books is really fucking important, and there's too much stimulation going on that distracts people from reading books. I'm not even talking necessarily about fiction, because if you want your fiction fix, go fucking watch Game of Thrones or something. That's totally
Sure,
fine with me.
sure.
I'm talking about learning something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
knowing something.
Well, but that's always been a problem, though, right? And now more than ever, it's hard, because when you talk about reading books, oftentimes, and I see my wife do this all the time, where she reads. I mean, she's a ridiculous, like, she reads every night. Every night she's reading a book. Most of the time, it's a book that's basically being written to be turned into a movie, and that's a big cultural phenomenon that's happening right now. It's always been the case, but now, because we see these so quickly kind of be adapted, and people are buying them before they're even written, right? To be made into, they're buying the rights to be made into
Major
movies.
motion picture.
Yeah, I mean that, and these books are coming out, and the second edition's coming out with now a major motion picture on it before the movie's even in theaters. That's kind of crazy, and I mean, I wonder if that is adding value, or if that's, I don't know. I don't really know what my point was with that, other than to say that even books are starting to decline a little bit, I think, and that people are writing 200, 250 pages, whatever necessitates or constitutes a book, so that it can then be changed into a movie, or like made into a movie, because that's where the profit margin
Sure.
is.
Yeah, and I would go, not to say, like, I read a lot of books, but I look through my own catalog of books on my Kindle, for instance, and I'm like, I haven't even read halfway through half of these books, because like my attention span is even turning so 21st century now, that I'm like, and Kindle is so convenient that
that you're like,
that
next.
I'm like I literally just think of random shit. I'm like, the Apollo program, and then I go download a book about it, and I start reading a book about the Apollo program, and then the next week I'm like, FDR, and then I like, and then and it's almost, Kindle's been a really convenient. I've spent a lot of money on books, more than I've ever spent, because I don't have to like go and buy them in store anymore. But at the same time, it's actually distracting me too, because it's too easy.
Sure.
So there is a give and take to that.
Tim, what's your answer?
Disneyland. I don't understand you, Greg. You're a fucking monster.
I don't like being motion sick. There you go.
That's so silly.
No.
though. It's like
I
put
don't
that
like their
aside.
stupid fucking cartoons. I don't like their
Wow.
stupid fucking voices.
Wow.
Do you hear this? Do you hear this?
I don't like their overpriced food.
this. Doesn't. But it's like, if you go to the right places, it's not that expensive, and it's good. That
It
turkey leg
depends on
tastes
your
like ham.
approach.
I don't like
to
their
Disneyland,
Marvel approach.
right? Is that if you go into Disneyland not knowing how to navigate Disneyland, and not having a strategy for Disneyland, you're probably not going to have a great time.
I agree with that completely. I've never been to Disneyland without my crew. My crew knows what the hell they're doing,
Yeah.
and they get me everywhere I need to be, and it's good.
See, if you go to Disneyland right now, what I imagine is that Disney's this exact same it's always been, where they try to put as many people in that park as humanly possible.
Of course.
You're going to be waiting in line. You're going to be hot. You're going to probably not be hydrated because the water that they sell there is like $19 a bottle. You're going to constantly want candy because they keep pumping in that smell. You know what I'm talking about? That smell of sugar and
Confections.
confections into your brain. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be sunburned.
Sounds like a great time.
And yeah, you're going to be smelling people. And you're going to be constantly... My memory of Disneyland is always just constantly waiting in line for Space Mountain. Just constantly in line for Space Mountain. Because that was my favorite ride.
It's a good ride.
But now they have like Fast Pass. They have all these other things.
Yeah.
You do the thing where you like one of you pretends to not have a leg or whatever, and then like
No, you don't do
they
that.
get you to the front of the line, and then
That's
you just keep
fucked up.
riding the thing.
You don't abuse the system that way.
No, but you
There's
have
other
figured
ways.
out how to. You don't
Of
abuse
course.
it. You game
He's
the
a
system.
schemer. Yeah,
You
he knows
abuse
he
the shit
schemed
out
it.
of it. So that's what I'm saying is you avoid all this stuff. You know the exact path in the shade so you don't get the sunburns. You plan where the cheap water is so you're not paying $19. Then you get all the fast passes. You fucking plan it right. You're in and out of that park in 12 hours.
Yeah,
But you did everything,
Yeah, you
God
did
damn it.
everything.
And it was awesome. And yeah, no, they know what they're doing, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing. And I just don't understand how you could not like it.
I just don't understand the draw of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle on this because I don't really like to have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
But apart
I
from
know,
that,
we're aware.
But apart from that, so I've been at Disney World in Florida probably 8 times, 7 times, and I've been at Disneyland a couple of times. My one thing I'll say is that I don't understand how anyone says Disneyland's better than Disney World. That's my one problem. Disney World is bigger and better than Disneyland. It's newer and it's unfortunately you have to go to Florida to go there, which is like the surface of
America's
which is the
Wang.
surface of the fucking sun in the middle of July or August, way worse than Southern California. So that's my one issue. But so I don't really have a problem. Like I like the idea of the theme park, and it's fine. It's not really for me anymore because I'm old and curmudgeonly, but I've been to these things many times. I used to go to Disney World almost every year, and for a portion of my life. And that's my only conundrum is that when I went to Disneyland for the first time, it was like 1992 or 1993. I was like, this is like a poor man's Disney World. I understand it's the original one. This was at the time. I don't know what changes they made, but I'm like, it's smaller, it's quainter, there's not as much to do, and I'm not like that impressed with it,
Yeah.
And then I went back when I was a little older. I'm like, okay, because there is something quaint about it. There's something old about it that I like. But Disney World, I think, is the superior park. So that's my only.
Disneyland ain't got the hoop-de-doo review. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know about that. So I've never been to Disney World, so I can't personally.
That surprises me.
I know it's upsetting on all accords, but I can't compare the two from personal experiences. But from everything I've heard from anybody, and I can understand this just from what I know about the two parks, Disneyland's just all the good parts. Closer, you can get it done in one day. Whereas Disney World, you can't do it in and out in 12 hours. It's this whole
a vacation.
thing, and there's a lot more stuff that isn't really that cool. And there's a lot more just like filler shit. And also Disneyland gets all the new stuff like faster and better, and it's the OG shit. And they have California Adventure, which is the realness.
Is that the one where you
And-
get in the the hang glider and you soar over, or is that soaring?
That's soaring
something?
over.
Well,
California.
that's a ride that's in California Adventure. California Adventure is its own little
What
park.
the hell is it?
It's
a
still a
park.
park.
It's a
What's the
second park.
adventure? Like
It's
what?
the California.
You're trying to survive the drought? I don't understand.
Yeah.
There's bears.
There's a lot of water. That's where they have World of Color, which is awesome.
What the hell's that?
It's it's California Adventure's big show, which is
Like the
there's this-
big show?
Yes, the big show's actually there.
That's awesome.
He choke slams
slamming people?
into the water. But no,
He's
they
just in the
shoot,
middle of
they
the lake,
shoot
just-
water up into the air, and then they project
Light.
stuff against it.
So dumb.
And there's like light shows and shit. It's fucking awesome.
So dumb.
God,
like
you
I just don't
guys
even
suck,
understand.
man.
Like
It sucks.
if
It
you
sucks
just
that, like,
got here from the 1920s and we showed you this, it's like your county fair but bigger. I'd be like, I understand why these hicks like it.
But-
why you, a man with
You
a
can't
fucking
compare
watch
the
that can do
county fair
anything?
to Disneyland.
I
It's
just
like-
did. I
No,
just did.
it's like
There's rides and overpriced food and a bunch of hillbillies.
Greg, I think, I think you're missing one all important. You're missing one all important point though, Greg, is that every roughly 50 feet you can get a churro, and that can't be discounted. That
I
can't
mean,
be
I've had my
discredited.
first churro ever in the last year and a half to 3 years. I remember it was at the Damon show where he had a whole bunch of churros.
How were those?
It's like I've never had it. Everybody's like, these aren't good. I'm like, this is really good. I'm like,
The
have you ever
churro-
had a churro? I'm like, no. They're like, well, these aren't even good churros.
When you get the right consistency of churro, and
Which
Tim,
is
Tim will
the
back me up
Disneyland
on this. The
churro.
Disneyland churro is crispy on the outside,
Yeah.
warm and soft on the inside.
Just like I like it.
Just the right amount of cinnamon and sugar on the outside, and it's handed to you by someone who one day hopes to be the CEO and president of Disney. But they're starting from the ground.
Yeah,
starting
I like
bottom,
that.
You know what
So
I mean?
that's the other thing. The people that work at Disneyland, God bless them. I'm
They love
sure they. I mean, they at least they make it seem like they love
sure
it.
the cast
I'm sure
members.
they got some issues that they hate, but you know what? I don't know that.
I have, dude, all of my friends that went to school for theater arts were at some point work for Disney. If you are in Orange County and you do anything in production, like live production, you work for Disney at some point. At a certain point, like every time I do a job down there, like someone on the crew, like we did Comic-Con, I think it was 2 years ago at IGN, we were doing Comic-Con, and someone's like, I gotta go, I gotta overnight at Disney. So when the park closes, the crews come in and like strike whatever thing was there and put up something else, and they have to do it before the park opens the next day.
It's flawless,
which
man.
is crazy, and you never see it.
It's motherfucking happiest place
crazy.
on earth.
But Greg, so there's churros every 50 feet, and every 5 feet there's nothing but children.
You know how much I
and
love them.
Sticky and sweaty and hating
that
you.
sounds great. Coughing up their diseases, getting them all polluting out there. That's what I want.
So it sounds fun, right?
What
Yeah.
do you think? What do you think? Because I'm sure Tim's done it, so I don't want to. I want a real answer. I want a Nick answer. What do you think going to Disneyland would be like with Kevin?
Oh my god.
I haven't done it.
Oh, yeah, really?
No. It's been very upsetting. It needs to happen.
What is
There's
that
been
like?
a few plans that haven't worked.
I think that Kevin would somehow. It would be pros and cons, like everything with Kevin, right? It would be. It would be a simultaneous, amazing and horrifying experience. I think you'd get into I think you'd get onto every ride immediately somehow, and you don't ask questions, and it would happen. I think that every ride would be amazing were it not for the fact that Kevin would always have a churro in his hand and be a little closer to you than he needs to be. And as we've already established, Kevin is a smell amplifier. So the churro would just permeate. And after a certain point, you would start to hate the churro smell. And that would be heartbreaking for me. Kevin would make me hate the churro smell. But then he would do something amazing, like I'd be like, God, I'm hungry, and then just hand me one of those gigantic turkey legs.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, God damn it, Kevin. I mean, pros and cons. It's pros and cons with Kevin.
Yeah.
Pros and cons.
I think ultimately, though,
with Kevin.
60% pro, 40% con for going to Disneyland with Kevin. He does sweat a lot, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, will you be able to taste them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but you remember he's a smell amplifier, so I'll be able to taste not only him, but the 10 or 15 people that surround him in a radius. I'll be like, I can taste everyone right now because Kevin's amplifying their smell. It's disturbing. I think it'd be fun, though. Kevin,
We need to go to Disneyland.
We should go to Disneyland.
And you need to have fun.
It's a world.
You don't have to,
of
Colin. I wouldn't ask that
laughter,
of you.
a world
Thank you.
of tears.
You're not gonna ask. You're not gonna get blood from a stone over here.
It's been a while since I've been. I enjoy Disney. Tower is like my favorite thing.
I went on that.
It was their 60th birthday recently, guys. There's a whole new parade that looks legit.
See, and that's the thing. Parades suck.
I'm
to
not-
begin
What's
with.
the deal with a
No, no, no.
parade?
Here's my
Parades
thing.
are so stupid.
I don't like parades either. I'm not a parade guy.
Martha, come out! The
What it-
marching band from 15 schools is going by.
No.
I sure hope they play. The Saints come marching in.
I'm not a fan of the parades, even the Disneyland ones. But this one that they're doing now, it's like this. It's a huge production. I'm a fan of productions when it comes down to it. It's like whether it's a video or a theater show or a freaking parade with lights everywhere and shit. I'm down with it. And this one looks really legit. It's
They
called
are-
Paint the Night.
They're top of their game. They are top of their game.
No one's better than
No one's
Disneyland.
better than
No
but,
one.
But who's competing in the parade game?
No one.
Not
High
three
school
of
marching
us, tell you
bands
that
and
much.
one college in the
Macy's
Midwest.
is Macy's still trying
Here's
to
the
be?
thing about parade. Here's the thing. I'm glad Greg just brought this up because I never really thought about it. But parade, like a parade has never made me
Parades
excited.
suck.
Ever make me excited.
Hey, get your lawn chair and come sit down. The fire department's gonna roll by at 5 miles an hour and maybe toss you a Tootsie Roll.
it's just I've always been.
I'm a kid. I'm allowed to be here. What's with all these other old ass adults?
You think
I could've been
Elon
a
Musk
firefighter.
is going to fucking parades? You think
Yeah.
Bill Gates has been? That's the common theme between all the smart men in America and women. They never went to a
They
parade
never go to parades.
because they were thinking about real world issues and how to solve them.
The last parade I went to or even came in contact with was on Market Street, and I don't even know what the hell it was for. But I was so pissed that it was in my way that I just walked right through it. I just walked right through it. And by that I mean my wife walked right through it, and I followed her, apologizing with my eyes to everyone around me. Like, I'm so
And then did you get on top of one of the floats?
No,
And sing
it was
Twist and
like
Shout?
it was one of those that had horses, and horses terrify me. I'll be honest with you.
Oh,
Like
they're
giant
fucking weird,
Clydesdales.
dude.
Yeah.
they're like I mean they're like giants, really. When you come down to it, like you know that scene in
Giants, the movie.
Little
Wow.
Giants.
No, what's the one we watched?
James
all
and
the
the
time with
Giant
the snow
Peach.
and the wall and the people that kill each other and have sex with their brothers
Giant
and sisters.
of Thrones.
Game of Thrones with the the giant in
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. That's what it looks like to me.
Sure.
Because I'm shorter than you guys, so you have to
was quite the
understand that
path.
that a Clydesdale to me is approximately 20 to 30% in scale bigger than it is to you. Because I'm
Right.
a
That
little
makes sense.
smaller.
That makes a
than
lot
you
of
are.
sense. Yeah.
I can't look them in the eyes. I don't like any animal that's not at my eye height with
Sure.
me. So tigers are okay. but the giraffe can go fuck itself.
No one knows what the giraffe's thinking.
No, it does. You can't see.
Have you ever seen them fight?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Holy
So
shit.
they whip their necks and stuff.
Yeah, they just freaking like head bash each other. Their necks are all like, oh my god, YouTube it, guys. Holy
Not
shit.
until we're done with this episode.
I can pause and just open up
No,
another
don't.
window.
No.
Do what you need to do. You know, if you want to watch that video now, I mean, we're not trying to tell you what to do. You have liberty and free will.
Unless you're in Europe, because then we have all the freedom.
Yeah, you lack a lot of freedom, but you were born free.
But you'll die under the queen's boot.
Does she still wear boots?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
when she goes hunting.
Just cowboy boots. Nick.